Piers Morgan says this, but is still pro-Israel. Make it make sense. Israel's long since crossed the line of proportionate response to October 7 and is now engaged in deliberately starving Gazan civilians, relentlessly attacking civilian areas, including hospitals, and then lying about it. It's shameful and it has to stop. Yeah. Remember when everyone was like, Israel gave details as to why they were attacking the hospital that they were attacking, and to a surprise to absolutely no one that is aware of what Israel does with regular frequency, the Gaza hospital attack analysis contradicts Israel's evidence justifying the airstrike. Trump leaving tomorrow, destination unknown. What the is ominous, dude? Is JD there or something? What does that mean? Is he... Anyway, let's watch.
Particular incident with the paramedics. It wasn't until footage emerged. Israel continued to deny that these were innocent paramedics. You said that they were, in fact, Hamas militants. It wasn't until footage emerged that Israel then said it would conduct an internal investigation, and the findings of that investigation has not concluded that these were Hamas militants, even though the paramedics say they alerted the IDF of who they were. In terms of yesterday's attack, I just want to show you some footage that was released by the IDF. Israeli forces say that they were targeting, as you say, a Hamas command and control center buried underneath the European hospital. You can see what the IDF says are tunnels outlined there in red. And this is footage, Ambassador, that the IDF itself has put out. Now, Sky News has confirmed the footage actually shows the Isan al-Agha school, which is about 160 meters away. So this is the courtyard of a school and not, in fact, the command and control center of Hamas.
So, because you sent me that information, I checked it with our people.
No! Don't tell them it's the courtyard of a school. They're going to strike another school. No! No! The Macy's, do you have a playlist as well? Maybe I missed it. No! If she says this is the courtyard of a school, he's gonna invite, she's inviting additional bombings. Dude, there has never been, maybe it's because of the dynamic of this version of the Holocaust happening in real time and live streamed in front of our eyes. But I've actually never experienced a situation where a country is so consistently so wrong, deliberately, like so consistently lying. Like, countries lie. Every country lies. We know this. Every state lies, even ones that we like the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Okay, look, I'm fair and balanced. Okay, I call balls and strikes. China lies too. And so does the DPRK, okay? But I've never seen a country like Israel, man. I've never seen a nation, a state that so deliberately and so frequently lies in the most childlike ways possible. It makes no sense. Like, it's gotten to a point where I feel like if Israel is telling me that, you can go outside and breathe the air, it's oxygen, I'm going to not trust it. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to maintain a healthy dose of skepticism here. I think it's probably best not to go outside for at least some time. It is so weird, man. And also, this is, by the way, the Israeli envoy who very famously came out and got the United Nations to take down children's drawings. He said they were Hamas. This artwork is Hamas. The kids are doing terror. Why were the kids doing terror? And he successfully got this peace drawing that was made by international students at the UN headquarters. Why? Because there were drawings where they were saying free Palestine and find peace. Okay, this is that guy here. You know what? We got to play it. Denny Dunham.
Here at the main entrance of the United Nations, where thousands of people are passing every day, the UN decided to put an exhibition about world peace. Look at the drawings of children from all around the world. Nothing about Israel. Nothing about our hostages. Look what they have. They don't recognize Israel.
These children don't recognize Israel. We must kill them. Where are these children? I will find them. You must delete these photos and punish the children. They are terror. They are babies of terror. Look at these evil drawings from the babies of terror.
Promote hate in those drawings.
Promote hate. I love the way that the camera pans because he goes, look at them. They are promoting hate. And it's like, peace begins with a smile. Love, no war. Teach peace. This is like the Miss Rachel moment, you know? It's like Zion is getting mad at Miss Rachel and being like, oh, how dare you be so anti-Israel? How dare you? Israel number one. Israel number one. No politics here. And it's like, why? What are the anti-Israel things that Miss Rachel is saying? Please don't kill children. Please, can we stop killing children, please? I wish we would stop murdering children. This is the most anti-Israel thing anyone can say. It's comical, dude. It's comical. You are, for no reason whatsoever, branding yourself as being pro-baby murder. Okay? What am I supposed to do? What is anyone supposed to do if you call people like, listen, if out of nowhere in a group of people, somebody says, I really hate pedophilia, and you get up and volunteer that, no, actually, it's not, it's something that we should be very critical about. This kind of statement seems unnecessarily antagonistic towards me. Then, yeah, everyone's going to think you're a pedophile. Like, what is wrong with you? You're the one who adopted this association with pedophilia. Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? Like, that makes no sense. It's like people are like, hey, we should give peace a chance. And this guy's like, this is terror. This is terror. This is anti-Israel. This is anti-Israel. What do you mean peace? Israel does not want peace. You are pro-peace. You are anti-Israel. It's like, okay, well, then you're insane.
That is shameful. This is part of the hypocrisy of the United Nations. I demand that the UN will remove this exhibit immediately and will stop with the hypocrisy against Israel.
We must stop this hypocrisy against Israel. So are you seriously denying that peace is Hamas? Wow, Hasan, I thought better of you. Yeah, no one has done more promo for Hamas than Israel. Like, it's so funny where they're constantly like, no, you do not understand. Hamas is against us, and they are on the right. They are on the side of not killing children. Like, we are on the side of killing children. Anyone against us is Hamas. Miss Rachel is Hamas. Okay, like, what the? Yeah, I guess peace is Hamas. All right, sure, you said it. Unironically, have more respect for Hamas and Israel. I mean, yeah, me too. I mean, I've said this already. There is no comparison. Even if you were to neutralize the moral playing field between Hamas and Israel, which is ridiculous in and of itself, but even if you were to do that, yes, pound for pound, Hamas is targeting. Okay, Hamas is targeting on October 7th, which was again atrocious. Okay, absolutely could be considered an act of terror, given the number of civilians that were shot and killed. Okay, there was a deliberate targeting of civilians in the process. That in and of itself is an act of terror. This is something that I believe. This is something that I've said over and over again. Right. Having said that, it's not even a question who's much worse in this process. Okay, it's not even a question. Like, look at Israel's targeting. Israel does on October 7th twice a week to the entire Palestinian population for the past 17 months. Hamas, bad IDF, bad. PLA is the only way for peace in Palestine and Gaza. Okay, dude, good luck. It's not even a question. Like, it's not. This is not something. I don't think this is something that you can even argue. You know, I need to hear someone try to argue this position without lying and saying that, like, well, Israel's doing everything legally and it's not a genocide at all. Like, that's not, there's no argument. Israel's objectively killed more. It's objectively killed more civilians. Its targeting is a higher density of civilians as opposed to enemy combatants, armed enemy combatants. Okay, and this is if we create a moral playing field that is even, when there is no even moral playing field between a violent settler colonial occupation that is conducting an exterminationist policy built around ethno-religious supremacy. Israel is the Nazi in this equation. They are closer to ISIS in this equation than Hamas ever could be. They're closer to the Nazis in this equation than Hamas is. Okay? And on the other side, you have an emancipatory militant movement that was born out of this captive population filled to the brim with orphan soldiers. Like, what the There is no moral equivalence. Israel has the population registry of every single person that lives in Gaza. You know, they know where everyone is. There's 24/7 round-the-clock surveillance with drones. Israel has an infinitely more superior military power. You're talking about a group, a band of national emancipatory movement aligned groups that got together after all of this death and destruction and chose to fight back against the apartheid state in a open air prison that is now turned into an open air death camp, right? And you're trying to compare that to what Israel's been doing for 76 years. It's ridiculous. It's not there is no moral equivalence on this. This is why I get very frustrated when people try to make this idiotic false equivalence or say everyone is bad. It's like, yeah, okay, dude. The Nat Turner Rebellion was incredibly gruesome. Are you going to turn around and defend chattel slavery now? Like, what are we doing? Eyes on the prize. Why is Hasan not banned yet? Free speech defenders, when you don't say a slur and instead talk about American foreign policy as it pertains to a foreign ally doing a genocide. They're like, please ban this person, please. Please don't ban me, but Hamas is a terrorist group, right? Yes, Hamas is designated as a terrorist group. Remember yesterday when I was talking to Jeremy Scahill about the first application of the vague definition of terrorism? As I told you, the first ever group that was branded a terrorism group was literally the Palestinian Liberation Front, the Palestinian Liberation Groups. That was the first ever application in a legal document in Congress that utilized the term terrorism. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. Do you think if the founding fathers had pipe bombs and rockets, they wouldn't use them? Kind of weird. No one calls them terrorists. I mean, they were terrorists. The founding fathers were terrorists against the British monarchy. The great Reverend John Brown was a terrorist against slavers, an incredibly important person in the abolitionist movement. He was a terrorist. It does not matter. Terrorism is a designation used by state actors against non-state actors, oftentimes that are engaging in emancipatory movements. There are appropriate applications of said term, but it's a political one. It's not one that is noteworthy. And the entire reason for this application is so that you can't even have a discussion about why people are doing the things that they're doing. That's it. It's a thought termination cycle. That's all this is. It's so that, any sort of discussion that tries to offer nuance to why certain militancies are formed and the ways that they operate, even if you don't agree with their methods, you can't have this conversation at all. It's impossible to have this conversation. People lose their minds over it. They're like, no, we need to punish you immediately. It is in many ways no different than the appetite that this administration has in terms of punishing any kind of dissent against Israel at the point of immigration enforcement, saying like student activists are attacking America's interests in the region. Like, we have to deport them. It's the same. It's just a different version of that same exact ridiculous demand for enforcement over speech. Anyway, let's get to, now that I gave you all these complicated definitions and everything else, what is this? A phenomenon that happens every 40 years or so? Yeah, I mean, Operation Cyclone. Guys, certainly this situation is not going to inevitably explode in America's face in a way that America will certainly benefit from. At least the military industrial complex will certainly benefit from. Come on. That would be freaking crazy, right? That would be wild. Anyway, let's get to the news. All right. Let's get to the news. I have this feeling that I have this feeling that my good friend Noah Culwin is technically a part of the military industrial complex in the way that he benefits so much from America's ridiculous destabilization efforts, considering that is every time America does something, that's like, well, there you go. Another season of blowback, you know? Like it's like Raytheon and then Noah Culwin and Brendan, all right? Who's to say who who's to say who benefits the most? Yeah, my man's got permanent job security like he's a Raytheon executive because America's never going to stop doing this shit.
Yes, Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations. Ambassador Danon, thank you very much for joining us here on the program. I just want to begin by playing you these words from the UN's humanitarian chief, Tom Fletcher. Let's just have a listen.
We have briefed this council in great detail on the extensive civilian harm that we witness daily. Death, injury, destruction, hunger, disease, torture, other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment, repeated displacement on a large scale. We have described the deliberate obstruction of aid operations and the systematic dismantling of Palestinian life and that which sustains it in Gaza. This degradation of international law is corrosive and infectious. It is undermining decades of progress on rules to protect civilians from inhumanity and the violent and lawless among us who act with impunity.
That was Tom Fletcher. And Ambassador Danon, he goes on to say, stop the 21st century atrocity in Gaza. Will you act now decisively to prevent genocide in Gaza and to ensure respect for international humanitarian law? I just want to get your reaction to what Tom Fletcher was saying.
Yalda, I was there yesterday at the Security Council, and I heard Mr. Fletcher, and I told him very directly, we are in this war because of Hamas, period. If you want to blame somebody, blame Hamas for all the suffering both in Israel and in Gaza. This war will not end and while we have hostages in Gaza. We are not going to leave behind 58 hostages and move on.
We are going to kill them, all of them, one by one. Have you heard of the Hannibal Directive? We are going to kill them to make sure that they are no longer a hurdle on. They are no longer playing a hurdle role on our endless death and destruction campaign against Hamas. You are being very anti-Semitic.
The world will understand that. Maybe we can move forward for something else. But expecting Israel to decide that that's it, we forget about the hostages, it's just not going to happen. We will continue this war until Hamas will be defeated.
Ambassador Danon, Ambassador Danon, I'm not talking about Hamas.
Look, listen to me, okay? A lot of people are not very intelligent, or at least are ill-informed on this matter, and it's partially because mainstream media has done a horrible job by design on covering this issue. But after 17 months of genocide and the Benjamin Netanyahu administration openly saying hostages are not a high priority for us, what we care about is genocide. What we care about is ethnic displacement of all the Palestinians and making their lives miserable enough that they have to emigrate, okay? Which you know what that means. It's a permanent ethnic displacement. After 19 months of this, even the dumbest guy you know is like, yeah, I don't think you care about hostages, man. Every step of the way, they called me a anti-Semite for being like, I don't think Israel cares about the hostages, guys. They killed them a lot, actually. If you cared about the hostages, I don't think you'd be bombing the hostages, you know? And it's becoming undeniable. I mean, it was undeniable if you knew enough about Israel's behavior, if you knew enough about the way Israel engages with the Palestinian population. But even the dumbest guy you know, who is not very well read on the matter, is seeing what the is up here, you know?
Terrorist organization. I am talking about you, the state of Israel, as a responsible actor. For the last 19 months, the world has been watching the way that you have prosecuted this conflict, the way that aid has been prevented from reaching the most needy. In the last 2 months,
Except Adin Ross, dude, that's not even true. Even Adin Ross. Didn't Adin Ross recently say, no, Adin Ross is who I'm thinking of when I say even the dumbest guy you know is like, yeah, this is kind of up. Like Adin Ross, by every metric, is perhaps the dumbest guy, like mathematically the dumbest guy you can arrive at, right? And even Adin recently, I think, came out, because I sometimes see his like clip accounts on my timeline. Even he came out and was like, yeah, you know, on God, I just gotta say, you know, we gotta stop all the death in Palestine against Palestinians. Like dudes with negative IQ are just like, yeah, the baby murder probably should stop. Like, I think it's really messed up. No shot he did that. Someone find it. Someone find the clip. Is that because Kanye said it? No, Adin, I don't really want to dive into this. My sister currently on birthright, and I was hoping it would change her mind on Israel, especially after she debriefs with me after. But now that hope is gone because the Houthis shot a missile at Israel and rushed her and her group into a bomb shelter and made them scared as is so over. Dude, you should have tried to stop her from going on birthright, honestly. But you know, you can change her mind. It's not if she's young, she's not like as heavily indoctrinated. Adin Ross speaks about Palestine and Israel war, mentioning that he has a friend who's Palestinian and he feels bad for his people. No, this is not what I'm thinking of. No, this is not. No, he recently said it. He said it recently. Yeah, here, this is the one. This is the one here.
A lot of people aren't going to be fond of me for saying this shit. I just don't give a I just do want to point out that it is really, it's awesome that President Trump is showing awareness now towards Palestine and Gaza. I just want to put that out there. I know I have a lot of Jewish people that follow me and stuff like that. Guys, listen, bro. At the end of the day, there's innocent lives dying, and I don't with that shit. So I'm glad that finally, bro, Trump, thank you, bro. Because fuck, bro, we gotta, you know what I mean, chat? Both, we deserve world peace is the goal here. Whoever's right, whoever's wrong, it's world peace. We need to stop innocent lives. So thank you, President Trump, for doing that. Really, really do. That was awesome, bro. That was awesome. You guys know how I feel about that, for real.
Yo! Yeah. Even the dumbest guy you know is like, on God, bro, this shit is, you know, no cap. Baby murder is not great. Okay? Oh, I mean, anyway, let's continue. Now that I think about it, it's kind of funny how Adin wasn't invited to the new Kanye session / Cuckversations. Yeah, because he's Jewish. And Kanye West is a rabid anti-Semite. And that hasn't stopped Adin from trying to collaborate with rabid anti-Semites. He's collaborated with everyone around Kanye West. But for Kanye, he's like, no, he doesn't want, I don't think he wants to with Adin Ross, because he's like, he just like genuinely despises Jewish people. Kanye does. Anyway, let's continue.
23 days, we have seen that there has been no aid that has entered Gaza. So while you can deflect and say that this is Hamas's responsibility, at the end of the day, you are the governing power in Gaza. You have a responsibility to ensure that there is no famine and starvation in Gaza, which is what the world, including your allies and partners, are now accusing you of. And it's gone beyond accusation. They are saying that they are seeing it in real time take place.
So the only starvation in Gaza is the starvation of the hostages. We have heard the testimony of Idan Alexander, who came out 2 days ago, about the way he was treated in a cage, chained by his feet and hands, starving to death. So the only starvation is of the hostages. And it's very simple. You know, you can go on and blame Israel for everything. But you have to make it very simple. As long as we have hostages in Gaza, we will not stop. We will bring them back home. They will abducted from Israel, and they will come back to Israel.
Ambassador Danon, I just want to show this COGAT graph from the last few months.
You were really right about the Overton window shifting on Palestine. Previously, we would have never seen this level of pressuring of Israeli officials. Yeah, it is truly remarkable. I mean, it took 17 or I guess it's 19 months now. I don't even know how long it's been. Math is not my strong suit any longer. But after a year and a half, of unlimited, unrestricted baby murder in broad daylight, in real time, a live streamed child holocaust, there are finally members of the Western press that are going, okay, well, you keep lying to us. Like, we have to actually do our job here. So yes, the Overton window is shifting. And one other thing that I have to mention here is this. We look at polls that come out about the unpopularity of Israel quite frequently, right? We look at the unpopularity of Israel on polls in the United States of America, like the Pew Center, that showed that Israel's popularity or Israel's unfavorability went from being like 20% unfavorable, 80% favorable to 53% unfavorable in a matter of 2 years, in a matter of a very short period of time. Okay, that is with the still the most popular forms of media, mainstream media, that have a lot of institutional prominence defending Israel every step of the way. And I've long maintained the position that if the media actually covered Israel's actions truthfully, you would literally have the overwhelming majority of most people in the Western world openly declaring loyalty to Hamas, okay? They'd be like, I don't care what these people believe. I don't care at all. Like, if the fact that Israel is this unpopular with an endless amount of influence peddling that takes place, if the mainstream media was actually covering since October 7, Israel's actions with this level of scrutiny, this would have been packed up. The situation would have been unmanageable from the jump. Public discourse would have swung for the fences. That's it. Think about that. Unlimited amounts of influence peddling and trying to desperately massage discourse in favor of Israel, regardless of how unjustifiable Israel's actions are, has still caused the overwhelming majority of the public to say, I'm done. It's enough. Enough is enough. Okay? Openly declaring fealty to Hamas. You know that Islamophobia would not allow them to go that far. Dude, I'm obviously exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Okay? I'm telling you, dude, people, at the end of the day, there's only so much consent you can manufacture. If you were to accurately report on the news, if you were to accurately report on what Israel is doing, people would be infinitely more open-minded to resisting against that sort of thing, and they wouldn't arrive at this like untenable, inherently contradictory position that like Israel is doing really up stuff, but like no one should actually resist against it, like the Ethan Klein perspective, you know? Because there are still a ton of Americans, due to their liberalism, due to the whitewashing of historical perspectives, historical revolutionary movements, and emancipatory movements that have actually engaged in militancy against previously unjustifiable constructs that were justified, like the apartheid state in South Africa, right? Like all of that whitewashing of historical perspectives, the whitewashing of MLK and other revolutionary figures, like the omission whenever we reflect on history of what kind of violence these movements engaged in, if all of that plays a major role in the way people analyze the ongoing conflicts around the world, where they go, yeah, well, other people were all peaceful. Like they never actually engaged in violent disobedience. They never actually engaged in militancy. That's wrong. That's just ahistorical. That's just completely wrong, right? That plays a major role in people arriving at this like inherently contradictory position, right? That is the reason why, like, liberals are trained on this idea that it's actually bad to engage in any sort of armed conflict against a state, no matter how devastating the state's actions are. The only analysis you can point to is World War II and what the Allied forces did against Nazi Germany. That's the only time, because that's the only thing that Americans will point to as a justifiable use of force. That's the only analog that you can point to. Or maybe sometimes the Civil War, but even that changes if you're in the South. You can't really say that either, you know? But here it is, a genuine sea change, a tide shift.
It stops at the end of February. We'll just get it up on our screen where you can see there is now no record of any aid entering Gaza. Humanitarians across the globe are saying that Israel continues to deny them access into Gaza and continues to deny any aid into Gaza, including Cindy McCain, the chief of the World Food Programme. Just your reaction and response to that, because we can talk about the hostages in a moment and we can talk about Hamas's actions, but I am asking you about the aid and the fact that you are the governing body in Gaza and there is now no food for people in the Strip.
First of all, I beg to differ with your assessments. You know, yesterday I showed at the Security Council that the IPC report said that in Gaza they are facing famine in the future. There is enough food because during the ceasefire we allowed tons of supply to come into Gaza. But I'm not telling you that it's easy to be in Gaza. But if you want to blame somebody...
Yeah, the famine is in the future. Not now, in the future. It's like people are experiencing famine again right now, you know? It's not like you don't get to put civilians on a diet, you animal. It's just... It's such a disgusting thing to openly say. Like, can you... Oh, my God. It's unheard of, man. This level of violent rhetoric is shocking to the average person who recognizes right from wrong. And it's yet another glaringly obvious example of how right-wing these dudes are, that they think this position is totally normal, that you can just declare this on any outlet, including an outlet that might actually have unfavorable in its audience, unfavorable opinions about Israel. Like, think about that. Like, this person, his entire job is to communicate Israel's desires to the Western world, right? In a way that the Western world will actually appreciate, understand, and find to be defensible. And they have completely dropped it. They just have no defense. I mean, it's indefensible, for sure. It's indefensible. Genocide is an indefensible position. But it's wild that they're not even trying to massage public opinion at this point, and they just keep doing the same shit that they did that worked in the past when there was no social media and no alternative modes of communication, no direct way of understanding or recognizing the humanity of the Palestinians or understanding their plight. And mainstream media almost always sided with whatever the American State Department position was. And of course, the American State Department position is that Israel gets to do whatever the it wants. It's the favored client state, right? So in the past, they could get away with this because there was nothing. There was no there was no drop site news. Okay, there were no Bizans who were able to speak on their own plight directly to Western audiences, right? And for this reason, like, people had no idea what the truth was. But it doesn't work that way any longer. It doesn't work that way any longer. And these guys have not figured out how to do propaganda.
Blame Hamas. It's very easy. They just need to release the hostages, lay the weapons, and then it's over. But expecting us now to listen to the cries of the people of Gaza and close our ears for the cries of the hostages and their families, it will not happen. We hear the families, and we are telling the families we are with you.
It is your conflict, though. I mean, you're saying you're not going to focus on the cries of the people in Gaza, but are you now saying that you admit that it's not your responsibility to ensure that aid gets into Gaza, that people like Tom Fletcher, Cindy McCain, leading global humanitarians who are saying that there is no aid getting into the Strip and Israel is not allowing it, that it doesn't matter what they think, you're going to continue to prosecute your war? That is the policy of Israel now?
Well, unfortunately, you have a few players who like to speak a lot about humanitarian issues in Gaza. But if you allow me for 1 minute, you know, the U.S. has put out a plan to support Gaza with humanitarian help. You know, even before the plan was presented, it was denied by the UN and some agencies. I'm happy that there are NGOs who will cooperate with that. But I ask myself, if they claim that there is a problem, why they don't engage with the US about their plan, about their ideas to provide humanitarian aid into Gaza? And immediately they said, we will not cooperate with that, we will not take part of that. That's hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy at the United Nations.
Yeah, unfortunately, people like to talk about the humanitarian issues in Gaza is a insane Nazi take. I mean, this person is a Nazi, okay? That's it. This is why I say, like, liberal Zionist, for example, and this guy is not a liberal Zionist, obviously. Not that distinction matters all that much. This is the point I'm trying to make, is that liberal Zionism is like saying, like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm a liberal Nazi. Like, I think that, I think that we should have, we should allow the Volk, the chosen group, the in-group, the whites, the Volk, okay, depending on what flavor of Nazism or fascism we're talking about, they get to do gay shit. They can do gay stuff. It's fine. But everyone else, well, death and destruction for them. That's it. It is impossible. It's an impossibly contradictory position to maintain, to be a liberal Nazi. Like, it's a laughable notion. Law chosen as touchy ground. Yes, you know what I mean, chatter. I'm not talking about, like, I'm not engaging in some anti-Semitic conspiracy here. I'm saying that different flavors of fascism have different chosen in groups, because fascism is inherently a ethno-supremacist, exterminationist ideology. Okay? Don't be obtuse. Ugh.
As you say, they have rejected that because for the last 19 months, Israel continues to be accused of preventing aid trucks from entering the Strip. I just want to ask you about a number of other things, including systematic human rights abuses that we've been seeing in Gaza. Sky News did an investigation about a number of paramedics who were killed and then buried in shallow land in Gaza alongside their vehicles. Israel's own internal investigation, despite repeat.
By the way, and I can't stress this enough, this story only became newsworthy because there was a Western focus on this. Israel has done exactly this, deliberate assassinations of medical personnel hundreds of times throughout the last 19 months. Hundreds of times. The only reason why this became a matter of public opinion or shifted public opinion on Israel's conduct this time around is because they were found. The medical workers were found, right, buried alongside their ambulance in a shallow grave, and that Israel kept lying so deliberately, and then by pure happenstance, by pure luck, there was video evidence that directly contradicted their lie. That's it. This is not the only time. This is not the first time, and this won't be the last time. As a matter of fact, the conversation that's taking place right now from 6 hours ago with Sky News is quite literally about another instance where Israel bombed a hospital, claimed that that hospital had a Hamas terror base, and then, forensic analysts looked at that and were like, that's not even the same hospital that you're talking about. This is just the courtyard of a school.
Repeated claims that these were Hamas militants. It was discovered that these were, in fact, paramedics. Your response to that?
Well, first, I will be very happy to see when the next Sky report about human rights abuse of Hamas in Gaza. Every day they execute their own people, and they have been molested.
Like, this argument is so stupid, too, where it's like, only we get to execute Palestinians. Why does Hamas get to execute Palestinians? Only we do that. Only we are allowed to kill Palestinians, not Hamas. Like, is that the argument? Like, it's only bad when they do it? Is that what you're trying to say? Like, what the kind of stupid shit is this? Like, even if I am to take what this animal is saying seriously, okay? Even if he is being sincere, like, what's the argument? What is the argument? Nobody talks about black on black crime. Black people are Hamas. Like, dude, you have wiped out entire families, dude. You're defending wiping out entire families. You're defending wiping out 15 healthcare workers that were very clearly targeted despite showing that they were healthcare workers. And your response to that is to just turn around and go, oh, well, Hamas also is killing people. Why is no one talking about Hamas? Like, this is indefensible. This is not a good argument at all. This is idiotic. And what's strange about it is that this is an argument that Israel has applied since the Al Ahli hospital strike. Remember when the Al Ahli hospital was bombed and Israel was like, oh, we did not do this. We would never strike a hospital. Why are you saying this? Even though they had literally struck that hospital 2 days prior to the courtyard explosion. And then they said, it's actually Hamas. It's a misfired Hamas rocket that killed the Palestinians. And I said the same thing back then. I was like, what's the argument here that you've like, at that point, they'd killed like 4,000, 5,000 Palestinians so far. And what? The argument was that like, only we get to kill Palestinians. It's like, what the And by the way, of course, they lied about that too. They lied about that as well. They lied about the Al Ahli strike as well, over and over again. And the media totally covered those lies as though they were sincere. Since then, they've struck every single hospital and continue to do so, including this last hospital strike that they applied the same immediate defense to, and tens of thousands of people were slaughtered in the process.
Ambassador Danon, Ambassador, I'm asking about Israel's responsibility
I will get to that, but
here.
I would be very happy to.
I know, but you can. We can talk about Hamas, and we are conducting an interview with Hamas
today,
tomorrow, and we will hold Hamas accountable. But I want to ask about these paramedics. These 15 paramedics who were not Hamas militants, and we have continued to see the targeting of hospitals and the targeting of paramedics by Israel, who is supposed to be a responsible state actor. So comparing yourself to Hamas, who, as you say, operates as a terrorist organization, when you are supposed to be a democratic state, a responsible actor, you are not the same as Hamas, and you shouldn't compare yourself to Hamas. And I'm asking for your reaction and response to the killing of these 15 paramedics.
Well, I will answer that. I wasn't comparing Israel. I would just say it's about time that Sky News will do a report about what Hamas is doing to the people in Gaza. Now, regarding your question, I can tell you that we are doing our best to minimize civilian casualties. But when Hamas is hiding in hospitals, when Hamas is using those NGOs as human shields, that's unfortunate. And if we make a mistake, and sometimes we do make mistakes, we take responsibility for that. And we acknowledge that.
That's fucking also wrong. They don't. Nereye geldin? Okay. They don't even recognize their mistakes. First of all, it's not a mistake. It's deliberate targeting. Okay. There's also a deliberate cover-up after the intentional targeting, but if cover up, because who the f is going to say anything? And also, I mean, it's always the same dumb, nonsensical way of defending this indefensible position. It's like, oh, well, Hamas was there. Oh, it wasn't us, it was Hamas. Okay, it came out that it was actually us and it wasn't Hamas. Well, then they deserved it because Hamas was using human shield. Okay, Hamas wasn't using human shield. Well, it was mistake, and it won't happen again. Oh, it happened again, and it's happening again and again and again and again and again.
We are doing.
Yeah. Also, the one living survivor that offered testimony was a 12-year-old boy. Israel killed him like a couple days ago. Nazis, man. Israel.
In this instance,
minimize casualties of people who are not involved with terrorist organizations, but let's acknowledge it. You know, only yesterday we heard a report about attack of Hamas leadership in Gaza. Why they were hiding in a hospital? Why they were hiding in a tunnel beneath a hospital?
And I want to get And I want to get to that incident that took place yesterday. But with this particular incident with the paramedics, it wasn't until footage emerged. Israel continued to deny that these were innocent paramedics. You said that they were, in fact, Hamas militants. It wasn't until footage emerged that Israel then said it would conduct an internal investigation. And the findings of that investigation has not concluded that these were Hamas militants, even though the paramedics say they alerted the IDF of who they were. In terms of yesterday's attack, I just want to show you some footage that was released by the IDF. Israeli forces say that they were targeting, as you say, a Hamas command and control center buried underneath the European hospital. You can see what the IDF says are tunnels outlined there in red. And this is footage, Ambassador, that the IDF itself has put out. Now, Sky News has confirmed the footage actually shows the Isan al-Agha school, which is about 160 meters away. So this is the courtyard of a school and not, in fact, the command and control center of Hamas.
So, because you sent me that information, I checked it with our people on the ground. And what we found out that in this case, yes, you had infrastructure of tunnels beneath the hospital, but it wasn't only beneath the hospital. It was stretched to other areas in that region, and that's why, it wasn't only under the hospital. But you should ask yourself, why under almost every hospital in Gaza you have a command center of Hamas? And that's the question we should ask ourselves.
Sir,
like this is the response that they use. Again, another lie, shocking, and they're so bad at this because their propaganda is often unquestioned by Western sources, Western mainstream sources, that they think they can get away with like lying this much, okay? And it turns out it wasn't even the right place that they bombed. Like they just used a totally separate. They used a totally separate area.
I just want to tell you what our experts have told us. Those tunnels that you're talking about, the dark shapes highlighted there on the screen, the markings were caused by water, not tunnels, because these are drainage systems. And so the dark shades that you're talking about, which Israel claims to be tunnels, are in fact caused by water because of a drainage system.
Well, I'm not familiar with your expert.
This is what I mean, by the way. If they were doing this since October 7, because Israel has been lying in this exact same way since October 7, by this point, the overwhelming majority of Western news watchers would have been like, no, this is indefensible. They'd be begging for military intervention from a coalition of the willing, okay? They would have shut off the money faucet. They would have shut off the weapons transfers a long ass fucking time ago. Okay? Can you imagine? And the example I will give you is this. Think about your perspective after October 7. I was offering this critical lens to the coverage. Think about how much your perspective has shifted in that time frame. Even those who were seemingly pro-Palestinian have learned the true endless well of depravity that is Israeli propaganda. Now imagine if Sky News was doing coverage this critical from the start. Imagine if CNN was doing coverage this critical from the start. Because for the first year or so, there was never this kind of critical examination, ever. Jake Tapper would just sit there and nod as an Israeli military official would say, this is why we have to kill the children, over and over and over again.
I can tell you that, Yilda, that today in Gaza, you have underground system bigger than the tube in London and the subway in New York City combined. It's a huge infrastructure of tunnels. All the dollar that was spent over the years in Gaza went to the tunnels. And that's unfortunate. And we are determined it will not be that case. The future of Gaza will be without Hamas.
Racist, why are you making fun of people's accents? Because they're Nazis. This person is a goddamn Nazi. Okay? And I think it's the least consequential thing I can do. You know? Sorry. Does that offend your sensibilities? Are you sad that I'm making fun of a Nazi? A person defending the live streamed Holocaust that his government is sanctioning? Oh my God. I can't believe you would engage in at least some sort of humorous quip in this endless amount of depravity that you're covering. How dare you?
Without tunnels, and hopefully the money will be invested in building hospitals and schools and not a network of tunnels.
Ambassador, so can I confirm that the video that the IDF has put out to say was the European hospital and that there was a tunnel system under there was in fact wrong?
Absolutely not. I told you earlier, we checked it and we saw tunnels that started in the hospital and went to other areas in the surrounding area.
You got some feedback? You got some feedback on this?
Of the hospital.
Well, our experts say that this is in fact the courtyard of a school and not a command and control center. And like I said, those tunnels that you point to are in fact the dark marks were caused by water because of a drainage system. So would you say then and admit that this was in fact a mistake by the IDF?
Absolutely not. And I think we will be able to confirm, you know, some of the individuals who we were able to eliminate in this operation. And you will ask yourself, it was like a school, why you have leaders of the Hamas terrorist organization hiding beneath a school, beneath a hospital. You know, they're taking advantage of those places, but we are determined to hunt them down everywhere.
I'm sorry, you're not answering my question. The footage put out by the IDF, they claimed that it was the tunnel and command and control center underneath the European hospital. The footage, in fact, is of a school. Did the IDF put out the wrong footage or they got it wrong?
No, so I answered you. Maybe you are not happy with the answer I'm giving you, but it wasn't.
Yeah, the answer is
Only the hospital itself. The surrounding of the hospital, you have other infrastructure of Hamas. You have tunnels connecting those infrastructure into the hospital. And it's not the first time that we see that the hospital.
By the way, the Gaza European Hospital in Han Yunis has CCTV footage of the strike. Okay? I'm going to show you just the moments before the strike, but this is it. This is literally, this is the area of impact. Okay? I don't know if I can show you the full footage here, but this is literally the moment right before impact. This is where they drop bunker buster bombs on. Okay? Even Israeli occupying force stenographer Emmanuel Fabian acknowledged it. The video released by IDF shows a school adjacent to a European hospital, not the medical center itself. Yeah. It's disgusting.